So this was a private session with Dieselnoi, and this is the second time I'd worked with him, and we met at a friend's gym which isn't completed yet. It's called the Corner Gym, and it's behind a soccer field. But I was very excited to be working with Dieselnoi again. He's so sweet and cool, and his energy is just like nobody else. And he is like the king of knees. He is the foundational icon knee fighter. So he's a huge inspiration. And watching his fights, he was undefeated at Lumpini for a long time, and you can see why. He's just like a thresher when he's coming after people. But so here he's talking to me about how you use all of your weapons to move someone around the ring to where you want them to be. So you use your teep and your kick and your stuff to move them and cut off the ring, and then once they get into the ropes, that's when you really start throwing your knees. There's this wall, because there's no window yet where the glass will go in, that's got this wall that comes up probably to my chest from the outside, and he just walked over it to come in. He's so tall. He's like 6'3" or 4". He's so big. So here he's kind of chastising me because I teeped him before he was directly into the ropes. And he's like, no, you throw the kicks and stuff to cut off the ring. And then his little wiggling around in the ropes there is showing how he has nowhere to go. That's when you start throwing straight shots. So that's when you would throw a teep or a knee. And now he puts himself in the corner, showing how you cut someone off. He's like, use your brain to figure out where they're going to go. And then once they get into the corner like this, he's like, now go nuts, because there's nowhere to go. His energy is so fantastic. He's like, this is when you kill someone, and then he calms down and like looks at you and tells you something and makes sure you understand. So here he's showing some clinch stuff and how to like move someone around before you throw your knees, but ultimately he just latches on and throws these straight knees. But so here he's showing how when someone's trying to knee you, you can just pull them around. Our size difference makes this really dramatic, but he's not using a lot of strength. This is all angles. And I find it hilarious because I am about to fall down at any second. But see him point to his leg? He's showing how to pivot off of that leg. See how he put his foot back before kneeing? That's a big thing for him. When he teaches me how to knee in the corner, he's teaching that same motion of the leg back. This is the owner of the gym who just came in, so he was introducing us. So they're just having a chat. Dieselnoi knows everybody. He knows everybody.
You can turn someone or whether they're stuck where they are. Like when he had me here, he could pull me really easily, but up here it was just like straight.
So he's showing what I'm describing there is where you grab on the arms is whether you're going to turn someone or just lock them and go straight. So here again, he's like cut off the ring. Drop means to catch. So he's like you really catch them, but you have to put them in the ropes first. You don't just grab someone out of nowhere. It's like cornering off the area where a fish is before trying to grab it. So he's showing how one side of his body is open and the other one not so much, and he wants me to gauge that distance. He bounces his front foot like that so that he can teep at all times and move people around.
He touches the ring, that's when you go.
But so you do this bounce and you move someone around, and then you step hard because they have nowhere to go when they're in the ropes. So he's showing how you use your front side to move someone around, and then you use your power side once they're stuck. So when you're moving someone around the ring and cutting off the ring, it's left, 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 left. And then if you're an orthodox fighter, you're going to nail them with your right once they're stuck. So a lot of people love to just throw their power side because they're like, I'm going to hit you with all my power. And he's like, you basically set it all up first, and then you hit with your strong side.
With your open side, and then nail with the power side.
Look at his enormous hands as he's trying to move me around. Look at his feet though. He keeps his feet so beautifully distanced. They're always wide, even when he's standing up straight, which a lot of people don't do. They bring their feet close together when they're standing up high. He keeps them really wide, which means that every single knee that he throws is powerful. So, there he's showing how to counter. And so what I have to do is keep throwing my weapons to get him over until he's basically stuck. He wants me to keep going, and he's switching sides with his head there to show that the side that's open, that you should be going after, changes as people try to get away. So I should have changed sides as he changed sides. So here he's showing me how to widen my stance, but have a strong upper body. He's like, come on, pinch your shoulders and grab hard. This is his specialty. You could not get out of his headlock. So he hates how floppy I am. Like, I'm not going strong enough there. You can see how loose my arms are even. And he's kind of letting me do it because he's trying to show me how to thresher. But look at his arms. He's not using strength, but I can't get out of that because of the way he's pinching his forearms. And then you pull the head and the body will follow. One of the coolest things about Dieselnoi, and it's a big one, is his energy, which is that he's like 56 years old. He had heart surgery. He's not in the best shape, but his energy, like his heart and love for Muay Thai, is just completely undiminished. Like, he loves it so much, and you can feel it when you're around him. It's awesome. And when he turns on his energy as a Muay Thai fighter, he is just unreal. Like, you don't want that coming at you. Here he's showing how you can shove someone off of you even when they have a pretty good grip. So he's saying you keep throwing those knees because they're going to try to bump you off. So you want to do a lot of damage, and it takes their energy.
I can't pinch properly.
Ask him.
So here I'm complaining about how my elbows and forearms don't pinch properly, and so people can slip out.
This is his thing, his height and his lock. He just locks the head, and just, you go.
You have to see his pad work. There's this really old video of him doing pad work, and he grabs the head of his trainer and just nails the pads over and over again. And that headlock is just, he spent a lot of time in his fights getting to that position, but once he's in it, you can see why he was undefeated for so long.
Ask him about the lock, baby, that's bothered you for a while.
So here he brings me over to the corner. He taught me these knees, and I've made a couple of videos of the Dieselnoi knees. So he wants that to come from the hip, but you have to keep your legs, like your feet, kind of wide, and it's like you're on a horse. You want your knees to be kind of bowed out. But you can hear there's pretty good power on him. And he's asking me how many I do. And when he first trained me, he instructed me, you start with 30, then the next day you do 40, next day 50, next day 60. And so that's what I do. When I have a fight, I have to start over because I have days off. But I basically go up to like 200 per day, or I just start doing time. And he was pretty happy with that. But look at his, this is why you train them, is that those knees just don't stop. You turn an opponent into a bag and just go. And see how he just pulls? He just guides the person where he wants them to be and just keeps throwing those knees. Then see how he turns a little bit to take the power out? And then as they're kneeing, you can turn them and take the power out of their knee. So So what he wants is my knees to kind of curve in, because if you try to twist your body to get away from it, that only works on kind of a wide knee. So he wants everything coming down the center because you can't actually get away from it. And that step back is how you get the power. He's like, it's the same as when you do it on the corner. He's feeling on my back like how the energy is coming out. And then he slaps me because my shin was hitting too flat, which his shins hit the corner, but he's so long that the knee goes in anyway. So he's chastising me because my knee was hitting kind of my shin was hitting kind of flush. So you want to hit with the knee and then the shin is kind of after it because you're going through the target. But it was an adjustment for me at that moment. I'd been training it so that the shin was really flush. And he's like, nope. So you can hear now it's quieter than it was a second ago. When you hear that slapping sound, that's my shin. And you can see it forces me to rotate more, but it's not coming from my hips anymore. It's more of a twist. So I need to reevaluate the way that he taught me and keep working on it. But see how he puts his hand on my back, he's feeling where that twist is coming from and whether the power is coming from the hips rocking forward. But he wants me to stay all in one position, basically, and the knees just come out. So this is putting it into position. So you grab onto the head, the elbows have to pinch in so that they can't swim in. And then if he turns sideways the way he is, you can see where he's open. My right knee is just going to nail him in the solar plexus. So you pinch your elbows so that he can't swim in. And so he's struggling to get in. And he's pushing on my chin so he gets out. But mostly because he's big. If I just pinch my shoulders and my elbows together, he can't get out. So here he's showing something that Duuglas-Ittu does also, which is you put one hand under the shoulder, like by the armpit, and the other one goes on the neck. And then you can just twist someone down. And maybe because of Dieselnoi's being so tall, everything comes from the shoulders when he does that, whereas when Duuglas-Ittu does it, he does it from the feet. They're pretty much the same height, but it felt and looks way more from the shoulders the way Dieselnoi does it. So his phone is ringing, he had to take a second. You can see I'm like taking a moment to breathe out of the energy that he was creating. And he's like, fine. I'm not out of shape, but it's hard to keep up that energy. So he gets this incredible height out of his knees.
He didn't like the shin
despite
slap?
not leaning back a lot. He stays upright, but his knees, he was nicknamed the Sky Piercer with his knees.
little,
so they come up
rotation
really, really
on the
high,
hip,
but he's
that little
not
one.
leaning back on them.
Yeah.
It's the rotation of the hip. So he's like, pull on the head, you do like these little jerks, and then he's squashing what I'm trying to do by just following my feet with his feet, and then you pull. So basically I can't get my angle because I'm trying to do these wider knees, but his, because he stays center and his knee from his hip turns in, even if you try to get away from it, it's basically going to follow you. So it's a straight knee that has a curve at the end, but only if you need it. Like, it'll only curve if you try to get away from it. So you can see my knees are still coming out wide because of where I position myself. If I kept my feet as wide and as bowed in the knees as he does, you don't have to do as much motion to get those knees going. Like, each one of my knees is individual, whereas his are all just kind of following on each other. So he's talking about how to grab. So here I'm trying to grab him in like the double plum, and he's just pushing my shoulders off because I don't pinch them the way that he does. And as I'm trying to swim in, my body goes back a little bit and he just starts the thresher. So he's like, even if someone grabs you really tight, you can control them from the underside of their arm and their shoulder. So he's talking about these different fighters and how they were very strong, but you just move them. Like when they try to knee you, you just rip them to the side, and they're on one leg, so they're off balance. He's not off balance when he's on one leg as much as is average because of the way he bows his knees and keeps his feet wide. And so you're always trying to get to this position. That's his favorite dominant, I'm going to knock you out position. Look at his face. This is his total, like, he cannot not have his fight energy. He loves it. He's got this, like, intensity. And I'm falling off.
Okay.
I can't, like, when I lock.
Talk to him.
So here I'm like, I can grab you, but you're just ducking out because I don't pinch my elbows properly. And he's like, if someone grabs and you try to duck out, just knee them in the face. Like, it's not a problem. He's like, just grab the neck. It's no problem. So he's like, if you just try to control from the arms, you can't get in the position that he wants. He's irritated that his phone is ringing again. He's so popular.
Hello? It's okay if they slip out. Because you can hit them.
This was really close to Mother's Day, and he had to go to an event later that day. So he was training me before having to go to a big event for the Queen's birthday, which is very nice of him. But he is a referee. He makes appearances. He's official and all of these things. If you ever watch him referee, he is the greatest referee ever. He watches so closely, and he like throws himself on people to break them when they're clinching. It's like he wants to be in the fight. It's so cool. Because he was undefeatable for a long time, nobody wanted to fight him, and so he actually had to retire before he was done fighting, I think. And I think that's really painful for him. Like, he still has a lot of desire for fight left in him because he didn't get tired of it. Like, he didn't burn out. He just had to quit because nobody would fight him. So here again, see how he looks like he's quartering off a fish or like trying to grab something? He's showing how you cut off the ring using your weapons to like corral them into the area that you want them in. And he wants you to shadow box like this. He's like, you need to see the opponent in front of you and quarter off the ring in your mind. So here I'm doing stuff in the corner, which is all well and good, but I clearly don't see the person trying to come out. Here he's teaching me how to teep someone in the groin. Which he says as a referee, if someone gets teeped in the groin, he's like, that's fine, that's fair game. Like, he won't stop it, even when these men look at him like that was a foul. He's like, it's not a foul, you can totally teep someone in the groin. So he's teaching me how to do it.
It's not a foul to teach someone in the crotch.
He's like, you can't knee it. That's a foul. I think he's the reason you can't knee people in the crotch. You used to be able to do it. So he's talking about when he's a referee and he sees it. He's like, no problem, keep fighting. He's making the motion, keep fighting. No break. He's like, it's not against the rules. I was taught by Power It from Sasaprapa how to teep someone right below the belly button. It's like right over the bladder. It's incredibly painful. So there's a whole area which people don't think to teep in, that you don't need to use a whole lot of power. That's incredibly effective, and I think that's what he's talking about teeping the groin, is that because it's the top of the legs, it's going to knock you off balance and hurt. So he wants me to hit the bag, and he wants me to play with the bag, but he wants me to have this fight energy. You can see it in the way that he's telling me how to do it. Like, don't just lazily hit the bag, like really rip it around. This is your time to like fully open up.
Sylvie.
So he was telling Kevin to keep time, and I just had to translate keep time, 2 rounds. But you can see this gym isn't finished yet, so you can see like the dust on the ground from the drywall and stuff. And this bag was actually really light, which was a little bit strange to work with. I'm used to very heavy bags. But it's interesting because when something is really light like that, you don't feel like ripping it around. So having to create his fight energy on something that's kind of light is somewhere in between having the fight energy and shadow boxing when you're just kicking the air and then actually having a target. So it's actually kind of a cool thing to have to practice with him watching to make sure that it's the way he wants it. But so here is just what he was talking about, where you use your weapon to kind of move the bag to the position that you want it to be in, the same way that you would move an opponent into the position that you want them to be in. And then once they're on the ropes, or once you have them in whatever position, that's when you throw your knee. So here I'm remembering that he was saying set everything up with your left side and then use your power side once they're where you want them.
Finish.
So those little rabbit knees that he had me working on in the corner, you throw 10 of those on your left to really tire someone out, and then bam, just knock it out of the park with your right, because they're already tired. If you've fought someone with knees before, the more knees you throw, the more still your opponent becomes. They start losing their energy, and when they start getting really still and they're not answering you anymore, you can feel, you're like, I have you.
20 seconds.
You are not getting out of this, and that's when you throw your power shot. If you're throwing all of your power to get them to that point, your power shot's not going to be as powerful as you want, because you're draining your battery at the same time. So here I'm trying to do more left side setup and then a right side power. I had cauliflower ear at the time. My ear hurt.
Left kick.
Left kick.
Left kick.
Because it sets up the right knee?
Because when I tried to go on the right side, he was like, just countering.
So when you try to kick right, because that's someone's front side, they can counter with their power. That's what I was telling Kevin. So you set things up with your left side. So he's asking me about my training. So he's talking about when he was a fighter, and he would always just add this extra stuff at the end. Like, he just would burn himself out and then do more at the end. So he's yelling at me because when things get intense in the clinch, I kind of shrimp. That body position that I just did is how I kind of am trying to get myself out of a position, but I go low. And he's like, you need to stand up, like use that energy. So he's saying when you train against people who are bigger than you, but don't use strength. You just work on all of the angles, but you stand up. Like, don't do that little fish body thing. This thing he's doing with his fingers are what Thais do to show that people are not the same size. So if you see people doing that in a stadium, they're talking about how people are not the same size in a fight. Usually it means it's a little bit unfair.
Close.
So his strategy is that rounds 1 and 2, you basically stymie all of your opponent's weapons and move them around. And then in rounds 3 and 4, when they've already kind of tired themselves out with their weapons, that's when you start grabbing and pressuring. But with total power, like the Muay Cow fighting style is very powerful. You never get tired. You can't be a tired knee fighter. It doesn't look good. So he's asking me what belts I have. So I was telling him the different titles that I had. And he's talking about some people he knows at Duuglas-Ittu, which was my first belt that I was talking about. So here you can see how he's watching, and he doesn't care what my actual strikes are. He wants to see the energy, the like moving the bag exactly where I want it to be. It's like when you see a dog grab onto a toy and just start like ripping it around. That's the energy that he wants, but all the time. And he has it. He's like 56 and he has it. You can see he's watching my feet. He wants to see deliberate movement. So there you see how he moved his hands to like keep the person at the distance he wants, and then he throws that left knee to position them. I'm moving pretty good, like my combinations are fine, but you can see that there's a lack of visualization on my part. Like I'm not seeing a person in front of me, I'm just trying to like follow the rules of the ethic that he gave me. But see, even those knees, like he wants those two knees to be the setup for a huge right knee. So here he's correcting those left knees. Boom, then the right one. So he's saying throw the left side a lot. Like you just keep striking with that left side and then the power shot. And you can see my power shot is a little bit dead. Watch the difference. Oh, he's gonna kill that bag. Look at his foot positioning. And he knows exactly what those power shots are. Like he set them up perfectly. It's like the left side is tossing the ball into the air, and then the right side is just swinging that bat at it.
Kill. Yeah.
And you can see how he grabs it too with his forearms. He's not messing around. When he grabs the bag, he is fucking ripping it around. Yeah. So if you knee slowly, that's when people turn you, which is what he was showing me earlier when he was throwing me around, which is why you just do these like rabbit knees on the left. They just don't stop. Nobody's going to turn you when they're getting kneed in the chest. Look how pretty with his feet going exactly to the same position before. So poke is your hip. He's like, put your hip into it. And you can see how I'm leaving my ass back a little bit, which is not what he does. There's still power in it, but if I put my hips forward, those would, even the left side would be knocked out. If you use your hip, there's more speed to it as well. There, see his hip go? There, standing up, keeping my hip in, and then you put your hip back in order to throw, but my foot should be going back rather than my ass. I forget to put my leg back all the time. But that's what he teaches when you're on the corner, is your foot has to go back first. So he's saying at the end of everything when he was training, when everyone had cleared the gym and everyone was gone, he would go back on the bag and do one more round of just kneeing the bag. So what I'm doing, but with way more speed and intensity, was how he would finish his session with another round. So you can see I'm throwing my power shots there, but I kind of stopped setting it up after a while. Like my brain is not in that pattern yet. But I'm trying to keep my hip in there. And you can see the speed increases when I stand up like that.
Huh?
4 minutes.
To go or all
No, finish. Yeah.
You can see I'm tired. Should not say that.
It's the intensity. Yeah.
I'm laughing because he's stronger than me. He's given me a talking to.
Thai.
When he's instilling his wisdom about like the ethic of a knee fighter, because he is the knee fighter, he like looks at you.
Thai.
It's like serious. It's like, come here, let me teach you something.
ใครคนกว่ากัน
ค่ะเพราะว่าหน่วยมันก็
ใช่เขา
ชิ
ก็
น
เลย
แล้ว
เพราะฉะนั้นนะ
So he's talking about how when he was training, he would cry every day.
เมื่อย
He was tired every day. But then when you go to fight, it's okay. Then you can just rip it out.
ไว้ให้ค่ายงานเรียบร้อยก่อนมาล้อม
He's like, it's in training, you can be tired all the time. You can cry all the time. But then when you go fight, you are a monster.
ใช่ใช่
แล้วมึงลองมอง
มวยเข้ามันคอยหมดเลย
So I'm saying Muay Thai can never be tired. And he's like,
มวยเข้า
absolutely.
not run out of energy
มวยเขา
can't do it
หมดแรงไม่ได้หมดแรงตาย
Motleng Mai Dai. It means like never run out of gas. And he's saying you have to be powerful. Like you have to be strong and have a strong stomach so that when people come to try to knee with you, you're like,
ต้องแข็งแรง
fucking try me, man.
เนื้อไหม
ได้โดนได้
Yeah, like I'm gonna come through everything. See how he catches that, but on his body? Like he's not parrying it before it hits him. You have to take a small amount of what's coming at you and then do something on top of it. So he takes like the tiniest amount from that teep, and then he kneed me in the face underneath my own leg. He like brushed my nose. It was unreal.
เดี๋ยวมึงมือเดี๋ยวไปเนี่ยเขาฉีดเนี่ยนี่เลยดึงออกข้าง
ใช่
He likes to knee underneath people's legs. It's really painful to hit the hamstring like that.
โดนมาสักพัก
ต้องร้อนต้องร้อน
My trainer does that as a joke. He knew does it, but it's very effective. I think it's a little bit old school.
เนี่ย
People should do it more.
คุณไปวิ่งเป็นยังไงแล้วก็ปั้นเนี่ย
So it's like after you run, you do your push-ups and sit-ups and teeps. This is how you make yourself invincible, basically. He's like, grab for real. Quit pussyfooting around. He's so big. I'm not trying to be delicate with him.
เข้ามึงใจดึงไปดึงไปดึงไปดึงไปดึงอย่าดึงดึงเนี่ย
So here he's showing how to do these like sudden movements to jerk people around. And when he does it, he's not using a lot of power because I'm tiny, but he still whips me so far because it's just these tiny motions. He just elbowed me in the face.
if someone's yanking on you, you follow it. He follows every time I
So you do those jerking motions that he was just showing me because if someone is very tense, they're going to go flying. But if you follow what they're doing, like someone jerks you to the right and you kind of roll with the punch, but you're rolling with the turn, you're not going to get off balance. You need to relax rather than be really tight. So there he's following me. See how his feet just follow exactly where I'm going? Here he's showing how to follow.
ยืนอย่างนี้ยืนคุณยืนคุณยืน
Don't put your feet close together. You're going to get knocked over. That's what that is. You make your feet wide, and my feet were narrow, and he just rips me to the side. Here he's showing it's like dancing. It's like you follow someone, just let them lead you.
เทคนิคละเทคนิค
He's like, technique little bit, just follow. He's so strong, but there's like no tension in what he's doing.
Tired, but when you get in the ring, two people are tired, but one of them's been tired before. So it's like,
So there he's talking about his training ethic of being tired all the time. Is you cry every day, that's fine, but when you get in the ring, two people are tired, but you've been there before, so you can handle it.
ไปกินงอหน่อย
So here he just wants me to like rip my knees around. When he does this around the ring, he did this in our first session, he's real. It's like he can just knee for fucking hours and be fine. It takes a lot of energy, but he's so relaxed when he does it, he can just keep going. I'm still learning how to relax in it, even though it's my style. So here he's like, catch my kick. I misunderstood him. He's like, go. So he's showing what a Muay Thai fighter should do in the first few rounds. Like, let people put their weapons on you, and you basically just foil it. So he barely catches my leg, steps forward, and knees my hamstring. And then because he's close already, he can throw the next knee. He's like, they're not going to want to kick you after that. But he's like, you don't even have to catch it. See how he just beat my kick by going straight? It's the same thing. If someone is trying to hook, if you jab, a straight line is shorter than the curved line. So he just comes straight at people when they're kicking. And because he's condor-sized, he has the reach. See how he just steps in? It's like, no problem. I don't care that you kick me. This is how you get in to grab somebody, is you just come in. There's no like, oh, I can't get in, they keep teeping me or kicking me. You're like, nope, just walk through it. So here he wants me to do it, but I'm midget size, so I can't get under his leg. There, he's like, it's no problem, you just have to get close enough, you're going to be able to go right under. So after you knee, you use that leg to step closer, and then you can do the follow-up knee, or grab, or both. So he uses someone's strike against him to take up space.
No.
He says he doesn't even have to catch it, he just goes underneath. So he's like, catch. I'm trying to position myself right. It like takes me a few steps to like figure out where all the wrong parts are. And my foot is still inside of his, so he just turns me so easy. It's like when you're playing chess and you think you've seen all of the moves, and so you make your move, and then it's like, oh no, and your queen's dead also. So I'm saying I'm short, so it's hard. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Get closer if you're short. Someone's leg is attached to their body, so the closer you are, you're going to be able to hit it. That's because he stepped in, but it just totally knocks me over. He's like, two people of equal technique. It's the one who goes that's going to win the exchange. This was interesting. So he's using his forearm to like jam into my throat because it's going to force you off because you're choking. Then he showed me how in a glove you can use your thumb to choke somebody. Like you put your thumb on someone's throat and push. And he says that he did that to Sagat when they fought. Sagat beat Dieselnoi, so they have like this little rivalry, but he said that it was okay to cheat against Sagat and put his thumb in his throat. And he says nobody even knows this happened except Sagat. It's very funny.
Yeah, that's what he uses all the time.
This is the one he taught me in my first lesson with him, the Dracula guard. And he wraps it all the way around his chin. So he's saying against a puncher, that's the perfect way to come in. Because see how protected he is and he's grabbing at the same time? Puts his hand in my face. Or his thumb in my throat. Let's see how it goes. So he's like, if you go against a kicker, you're just going to knee and go under their kicks. If someone's a puncher, that's when you're going to use that Dracula guard. So techniques are not the same for every person. You have a plan for every type of fighter and you make these adjustments.
เพราะเทคนิคตรงนี้นะมันต้องไปใช้บนเวทีตรงนี้จำไว้นะแล้วก็ต่อไปก่อนนะ
So here he's showing a puncher.
พอใกล้ถึงประเด็น
I shouldn't have dropped my left hand like that. That should have gone right in his face.
เพราะว่าผมมวยจับผมเนี่ยจับผมเนี่ย
So he's like, grab my neck, pull in. And then he just, before I can get the lock,
เพราะฉะนั้นแล้วเนี่ย
he pushes my arm up and slips out. So he's showing how to be quick as someone is a clincher trying to grab you. You shove them off. And then here he's hooking my arm. And as I'm struggling to get out, I can't get out because he's got the longest arms.
เพราะว่ามวยหมัดเนี่ยนะ
See how quick that was? As I'm trying to grab, he just slips out.
จับแขนไง
But you don't put your face down. You don't like duck out. You push someone off, like over the top. It's like pulling off a sweater.
ปัดไม่ได้
His arm like spiraled around my arm like 3 times.
ดูให้ดูการตีเทคนิคกับมึงเทคนิค
He's talking about techniques, and I'm like, all your techniques are really painful.
โอ้โนเปลืองออก
So he's showing how to put the hip in even when you're doing the repeated knees.
Exactly the knees you do when you double guard, but you have to get your hip going. It's the same as in the corner how you keep slapping.
So people do this thing where they get like the double plum and then they put their ass back and try to like knee, but you have to make this C shape. See how the hips are forward and the shoulders are forward?
And as you're throwing your
ไม่โดนจับผมอ่ะ
You have to drive
So
your hip
as
in,
your hips are going forward, you're pulling down.
but it's not from a step back.
No, you. Yeah, I think you're supposed to step back.
You have to step back.
Yeah, but you have to rock your hip. Because that's pulling the head down. You keep your body close, but not on them. Same on the bag. If you wanted me to like stand up more, it's like Mama looks bigger than you because you shrink. It's like you look like
So he
this.
saw a little bit of my last fight, not this most recent fight. I was fighting the next day against Loma, but he saw my fight before against Loma because we showed a video. And he's like, she looks bigger than you because you do this fish body shrinking thing. You need to stand up in the fight.
I don't know.
คุณตุ๊กตาเยอะ
He's calling someone to come sit with me.
Okay.
เนี่ย
So he's
ผมพูดไปนะ
he was trying to get someone to come clinch with me so that he could monitor and watch, but we actually had to go somewhere. So instead he gave me advice on how to clinch when I go home to my gym.
Oh, this is him against Saget.
He loves to show me these awesome old pictures and videos on his phone. It was a video or a photo of him against Saget. They fought twice.
ที่ว่าไม่รู้กรรมการไม่เห็น
Call him.
หายใจ
He was talking about putting his
แต่ทำเลยตรง
he was talking about putting his thumb in his throat, and he's like, the
Holy.
referee didn't see it. And I'm like, Saget saw it. Saget knows.
ที่จมูกนี่ที่ผมญี่ปุ่นโต
So then he showed me some photos from a magazine in Japan. He went and lived in Japan and trained, like, was a trainer at a gym for about 10 years.
Reach out where he like grabs behind
So
the head as
in
the
these photos, you can see how to deal with punchers. He like reaches over the punch and grabs people. You can find these online. They're really beautiful. It's a black and white magazine with Japanese writing describing the different techniques. It's probably like a kickboxing magazine of some kind.
เขาไปไหนนะเขาไหมเขาลงมาอย่างนี้ปึ๊บเนี่ย
Hi.
So he's showing how you can put your leg outside of someone's leg and pull them over it
มีที่บ้านมีเยอะ
as a technique in the clinch.
มันมีเยอะ
Loma's actually incredibly good at that.
อันนี้จะให้ดูในใบเทคนิคเพราะว่า
Dieselnoi is so super famous and amazing that when you look him up, there are like all these photos and videos, and there are multiple Facebook pages devoted to him with his name spelled differently and stuff. But what's really cool about it is that for his generation, there wasn't a lot of, there's no Facebook or internet or anything.
Say I'm strong, so act strong. Don't be all jelly.
Act
He's
strong.
making fun of my fish body again. But so he's got all of this stuff on his phone to like reminisce and show examples from his golden years. It's really cool.
He got this dude who he fought had the trophy from the king.
Oh.
So getting a trophy from the king is a huge, huge deal. And he was saying that from this fight, his opponent had previously gotten it, or he was saying he had gotten it. It's a big deal. That knee is going straight into the guy's solar plexus. It's an amazing photo.
แทงเลย เพราะนั้นผลักไม่ได้ถ้าคุณแตะหลังอันนี้
He remembers these fights. He remembers these moments that are in these magazine photos.
นะจับผลักอย่างนี้ดีกว่าเนี่ยจับดิพูดอย่างนี้ดีกว่า
So he's saying you can't necessarily push someone off, but you just go in
He said
instead.
when people push away, this is the worst, especially because he's 9 feet
โอ้
tall. Me.
So he's like, I love when people push me.
อย่างนี้ดีกว่าเนี่ย
So he grabs when people push.
เนี่ยนะไปเนี่ยเสียบ
He started doing it.
Closer.
เดี๋ยวใกล้เชือกแย่
So as a knee fighter, you don't go backwards. You
Oh.
close that
But if you're
distance.
working, it's okay. But people who push, it's no
People who try to
No
push
good
off,
for
he's
him.
just going to nail them, and the referee
Because yeah,
will come and break you if you're not working. But he loves when people try to shove him off, because then he can just
ย
nail
อดมวย
them.
ไทยนารงน้อยเกียรติบัณฑิต ไม่มีไหมนี่ไง
So it's another very famous fight of his.
ขาเส้นหน้า
He was talking about some highlights.
ผมนะนี่โดนน้อยเตะนะไหม้ไปหมดเลยนะโดน
He was he was saying that he got kicked and it hurt.
Everyone in Thailand.
He took so many kicks in his ribs.
แต่
เกียร์บนนะ
ผมชนะนะ
He said, I won.
ดูเนี่ย
So he's like, look at this. You can see he's getting kicked in the
ถ้า
body.
คุณไปต่อยผู้ทุช้าคุณจะเตะได้
He's like, even though this guy was a great kicker and I took kicks in the ribs, his kicks were slow. So every time this guy would kick,
His kicks are slow.
Dieselnoi would knee him.
Because he's slow.
ใกล้ๆนี่
So he's like, yeah, my ribs hurt because he kicked me a bunch, but I beat his kicks
ไม่เจ็บ
and he won.
สองแรงนะคุณมานี่ปั๊บแทงมันสองเจ็บ
But his sides were all swollen from getting kicked.
He was walking around like that after the fight. He
จะ
said,
ปีกมาลงน้อยแต่ผมจะปีกอ่ะนี่คือมวยเข่าเทคนิคมวยเข่า
he said technique Muay Khao.
Technique of Muay Khao.
Where is?
To me.
He's pointing to a knee and saying, this is technique Muay Khao. So a knee fighter's technique is a knee.
หนักมาก
Funny. So there he's showing the Dracula guard.
This guy, Rakte, he's in our book. It means like original, authentic love.
So Rakte is a famous fighter.
He was like a puncher.
แชมเปี้ยนไลท์เวทล่างเนิน
So he was a flyweight
ไลท์เวท
boxer.
ไลท์เวท
And so Dieselnoi used the Dracula guard because he was a boxer.
ผมจำเรื่องจริงผมจำเรื่องจริง
It's so cool when these old fighters will like go through their stuff.
Boy.
Can you imagine sitting with like Muhammad Ali and he goes through like a photo album talking about his fights? It's so cool and he's so nice.
ไม่หนักแต่เร็ว
He says his technique's beautiful but not hard.
เนี่ย
He's talking about Samart. Samart is like the fighter who every Thai man swoons every time you say his name. He's like the most famous, loved, ultimate fighter. And Dieselnoi beat him, but Dieselnoi is like, yeah, his technique is beautiful, but it's not strong. He's like, it's okay, he's my friend, but he kind of hits like a girl. It's so funny.
ขาวพองน้ำซุปโอลิมปิก
I think they fought twice, I'm not sure.
Sigon.
โอ้เก่ง
He's saying this guy was a really good boxer.
ตามนั้น
They fought 3 times, and the first time he knocked him out.
ครั้งแรกนะผมตีเข่าเขาขาด
Oh no, the first time he got knocked out, and then he beat him the next 2.
ผมว่าสบายหลับเลย
He fought this Olympic boxer 3 times. First time, he knocked him out. He got knocked out.
Oh.
And then the next 2 times, he's like, I'm just going to relax a little bit.
So by relax, we mean Dieselnoi is gonna just knee him until everyone dies.
ครั้งแรกในชีวิตเดี๋ยวผมบอกให้คุณดีกันคุณไม่ทำอะไรเลยคุณทำอะไรเลย
I love how he remembers all these fights. Like in him, he remembers them. It's like he's experiencing them as he's looking at it. These little details. It's almost like I have all of my fights on YouTube, so I can go back and look at them, and I remember details from each of them. His YouTube is in his brain. Like he remembers all of his fights. So here he's trying to find a video that he wanted to show me. He's like going through all these different pages. There's like 10 different Dieselnoi Facebook pages.
Like King of Knees, and his name's spelled differently in English and stuff.
You can see he's got a little bit of cauliflower on his ear too. I never noticed it on Thai fighters until I got it, and then I noticed it on everybody. It's always on the left ear, Orthodox fighters. So here he's trying to find the video that he was looking for, and it ended up being a Lawrence Kenshin highlight. I was like, I know Lawrence Kenshin.
You say he's friend?
Yep.
เพื่อนเหรอฝรั่งเหรอวันนี้ใครฝรั่งเนี่ยเหรอญี่ปุ่น
He's like, is he a Farang? I'm like, yeah.
He's in Canada.
He's Canadian.
ไม่รู้ไงมันผมจะให้ดูคุณตอนผมเด็กเบ้าอ่ะไม่ใช่ไม่ใช่ไม่ใช่อันนี้ไม่ใช่
So he couldn't get it to go.
คุณจำเด็กผมเด็กเบ้าไหมผมก็ติดไหม
But so he started describing the video to me with the different
อ๋อ
highlights.
เพื่อมาก
นั่นแหละคุณต้องซ้อม
ป้อง
คุณต้องซ้อม
What, baby?
So I was telling him that I've seen his pad work video. It's life altering when you see it. When you see how fucking crazy he was in his training.
เดี๋ยวรู้จังหวะ
ใช่
เพราะคุณมีแรงซ้อมได้
ใช่
He's like, you have to train like this to have
Says
power.
when you get to the gym and you have no power, you train.
ต้องซ้อมอย่างนั้นโอเครู้ป่ะเนี่ยซ้อมเนี่ยซ้อม
You can hear in the way he talks about his training that he was just unreal at the gym, that he just trained so hard. This is that video. You can look it up.
Muay Thai.
ตายแล้ว
He said this trainer died already. He had cancer,
เดี๋ยวนี้
but
ไม่ได้เดี๋ยวนี้ไม่ได้
ใช่
ไม่ได้
Dieselnoi is young in it, maybe like 19 or 20, and he's just grabbing this guy, and his knees are like, thank God that guy has padding, but you can tell he can feel it through the pad. Oh, look at it.
ข้าวด้วย
And he just throws him on the ground. He's like endless. And you don't get like that by like mistake or by talent. That's just drive. And he's just relentless. Like he is so relentless.
ไม่ได้ดูยัง
And here he's showing a fight that he had in America against a kickboxer.
ไม่ได้
He killed that man.
ชกที่
เป็นคิกบ็อกเซอร์ใช่ไหม
อ๋อ
อ๋อไม่ได้
นี่ผมใกล้เลิกแล้ว
ใช่
ไม่ได้ยกไหน
ไม่ได้ค่ะใช่ไหมได้
เนี่ยกลัวนะกลัวแพ้
He did this weird Ram Muay thing where he was like brushing his
He was afraid he was
shins.
gonna lose. We didn't know.
But Dieselnoi had never fought abroad in America before, so he was very afraid he was going to lose, that he wouldn't understand how they score things or that they would cheat or something like that. But he just wrecked this guy. There was a smile on his face, remembering it.
รู้เหล็กไหมใส่เกงข้างผมนะกลัวโดนหมัด
He said this guy was afraid of him. I think getting kneed by him once as a kickboxer. He's getting afraid. Not a lot of knees in kickboxing.
He says there's no chance he was gonna lose.
เมื่อก่อนนะ
He did not want to lose.
ชกกับพวกฝรั่งต่างชาตินะแพ้ไม่ได้
ใช่ค่ะ
ตอนหลังนี่นะ
So we started.
ธรรมดา
You can see us talking shit now.
ไม่แพ้
We're talking about
ผมรู้
how before, when you would see Farang versus Thai, he didn't know how fights were going to go, but now he's like, the fights are ridiculous now. Farang versus Thai, they're not fair.
ไม่ยุติธรรม
ใช่
คนไทยไม่
Saying they're not fair.
Nowadays, you see Farang fight with Thai, it's not fair.
Not fair?
Yeah, nowadays
Is
it's
it
not
weight?
fair.
ไม่ดี
น้ำหนักไม่เท่า
So I'm like, they don't weigh the same. And he's like, no, they never weigh the same. And he's like, plus,
ธรรมดา
the Farang has 20 fights and the Thai has 120 fights. Like, it's crazy. But he's a referee, so he's actually refereed these fights and been in the ring with these two fighters, and I'm sure he can feel the difference between their skills or their sizes or their ability, like all of these things. It's a very different experience than him going to America and fighting a kickboxer. I think Kevin's finger went over the microphone at this point. The phone gets really hot when we do live feed, and this was all a live feed. So I actually can't hear what we're saying now. But he's still talking about modern day Muay Thai, watching Muay Thai now. A lot of these old fighters, when they talk about Muay Thai now, they're like, Muay Thai now is not the same as before. And they kind of have this like waxing poetic about the golden years. And he has it also, except he's not dismissive of modern day fighting. What's interesting about him is that he got so shafted in the golden age as a fighter because no one would fight him and there was so much gambling and corruption and stuff. He's not as, he doesn't romanticize his time as much as I think the other fighters do, even though he loved fighting so much that he feels poetically about the time that he got to fight. I think if he had the opportunity, he would fight in a second now.
เอาลูกเอาแบงค์มาเลยแบงค์หมอนะ
Don't buy a hat.
So I was talking about how I had to go weigh in for my fights. Oh, he's so awesome. I love Dieselnoi.